Before we get to our first guest, I want to play something for you. The Washington Post apparently was able to get a sit-down interview with one of the Discord group members that had allegedly seen the documents leaked by Jack Teixeira. Now, watch this. We only took a minute of it. Is it me, or does this person, for a teenage gaming enthusiast, sound a little too, how you say, polished? Take a look.
Often listed as Ukraine versus Russia at first. However, it slowly spiraled into just intelligence about everything.
Why do you think people should know what's in these documents?
There's talks of foreign intelligence agencies, who's supplying what in what wars, who's funding certain things. There's talks of nuclear weaponry. I mean, that's hardly touching the iceberg. There's just stuff that if your tax dollars are funding these atrocities, then you should be able to know about it.
And how did that feel to know things before the rest of the world knew them?
It felt like I was on top of Mount Everest. It felt like I was above everyone else to some degree, and that I would be able to brag to some people that I knew stuff that they didn't. And of course, most people did not believe me. However, me knowing that I knew it myself was more than enough to keep my ego high.
One of the interesting things in another portion of the interview with the Washington Post, this anonymous person says that they started seeing these documents 6 to 8 months ago. So the question is, how did the Department of Defense, the Air National Guard, Fort Bragg not know for 6 to 8 months that this individual was putting these documents, leaving with these documents and putting them up on the internet? My first guest is the former United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense and Intelligence for the George W. Bush administration, founding member of Delta Force, and currently the Executive Vice President at the Family Research Council, and a longtime friend of my radio program, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. Always good to talk to you.
It's great to be with you, Andrew.
So when you see a video like that, does that person seem a little bit too polished to be some gaming nerd who might have seen classified information?
Yeah, this guy has either been trained or he's been coached specifically for that interview. But either way, I don't think this guy is legitimate in terms of just being somebody they picked out of the lineup and put him on the program.
All right, let me ask you, look, you've worked at the highest levels of the military and intelligence, most specifically for George W. Bush. Is it normal for a 21-year-old Air National Guardsman to have this level of access? And when I ask that, I don't mean to insult the men and women of the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, any of the reserve forces, but this individual has a part-time position. Is it normal for a reservist or guardsman who's part-time to have this level of access to classified information?
The quick answer is no. And it's not so much his age, it's his rank. It's how long he's been in the military, what level he has reached in the military, which sets him up for the jobs that he will be doing in the military. And if he has a job that requires a clearance, then obviously he'll have one. But a guy of his rank, I don't believe they can justify in any way giving him a clearance. This is a top secret SCI, and it doesn't get much higher than that. So this guy should never have been given a clearance this high. And furthermore, he was never vetted properly, I'll guarantee you, and that means somebody's head's got to roll over this, and it's somebody in his chain of command.
You know, it almost seems as if the media is trying to place him in the category of conservative. They keep saying gun enthusiast, gun enthusiast, gun enthusiast. Well, this was a video game chat site. So why aren't they calling him video game enthusiast, video game enthusiast? It's like they're reminding us he likes country music and he shoots guns, and it's almost like they're trying to create the perception that he must be in the category of conservative. Like I said, they're leaving out that he's pretty much a 21-year-old video game nerd.
Absolutely, and if you look at what he was doing, He was passing this information to other gamers, to people that he had never met in person, but people that he was shoving this information to that were not even really friends. They were just people on the net. But, you know, one of the things, Andrew, let me say quickly, one of the things that we need to realize is that after 9/11, the 9/11 Commission came out with some recommendations for new legislation, because they said that one of the things that happened was that intelligence was not shared among the intelligence community. And they came out with a law called the Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act. And what it did is it forced an integration of intelligence. All these agencies had to share their intelligence with each other on a common server, for example. And I think that what we did in trying to do the right thing was we went way too far. And we set ourselves up for this kind of thing where somebody with a very low level clearance either had help or figured out how to hack into one of the servers, and it gave him information that would not be it would not be available to him if he had not been in that particular unit that had very poor procedures, counter-terror procedures or counter whatever procedures. They should not have been able to give him a clearance like that without somebody knowing it and somebody being in big trouble now because they did that.
I got a little less than 2 minutes. On the scale of Snowden and Bradley Manning and some other leaks, where does this one rate 1 through 10? And is it really, I mean, it seems like a lot of damaging stuff got out, but where does it rate with past leaks?
Yeah, I would say if everything is legitimate, I would say it rates up there. It's probably a 9 or a 10.
Wow.
If all legitimate. And there's an article out today that says that it's the largest leak that we've ever had in U.S. intelligence. I don't know if that's the case, because there's also some information that's coming out, particularly from the Brits, that they don't believe that all of this is legitimate. So we really have to find out what the veracity of it is.
Well, we learned that British Special Forces might actually be on the ground in Ukraine. That's NATO forces. That's pretty embarrassing. We also noticed that the spring offensive by the Ukrainians might not be what it's cracked up to be, and their losses may be much higher than reported, which kind of feels like maybe the government was lying to us. That's not good either. That's the double-edged sword, right? We don't want national security leaks, but we can't unsee it when we find out that the government's not exactly telling us the truth about where our $100 billion packages are going.